Welcome to another episode of Inspired Content, where we're doing the last two stories from Isaac Asimov's Isaac's Universe, Volume 1, The Diplomacy Guild. The story from that one is Island of the Gods by Harry Turtledove. And the last of the stories from A Book of Wizards is The Day is Ours by Margaret Weis and Robert Krammes. So I'll take a look at those and I'll see you on the other side. I gotta tell you, man, that's... I'm gonna be... Alright, so I guess I'll start with the one that really did it the most for me there was The Day is Ours by Margaret Weis and Robert Krammes. That's a hell of a story, guys. Holy crap. Yeah, that was well written. I like a good story where the authors know how to make a story where the main characters don't know what's going to happen and things go wrong and they don't always have a way out and they can't figure out what's going on and it all goes to pot. When an author can do that, they've made real characters and they've made real situations, and I think that was a really, really good story. Even if the story itself is pretty dark and a little hard. But that said, I think I'm going to definitely give that a rating of about a 7.8 out of a 7.9. That's just a good story. A mercenary group of dragons whose king and military commanders have disbanded the core of dragon troops. They are kind of their only function and their only purpose in the greater society has been taken away from them, and so they've done the only thing they can is hire those services out to others. Taking this idea a similar route, I kind of thought this was going to be a story of the main dragon rider and the magic user and the mercenary all ending up kind of obsolete because the guns, airships, and engineers can take over the duty of performing the same functions within a realm of battle that they do. And so you have these people who are, their function, their purpose in the world has been taken from them by the people they serve. So they are adrift and eventually, despite starting out on opposite sides, end up working together, forming a group of heroes for small villages, and even given a chance to confront their replacements in a way that allows them to prove themselves as still valuable. They talk at a certain point about how the dragon scales are even better than any type of metal that exists out there, and first thing that comes to my mind is, well, could you make like clock gears out of them? Could you make components and tools and machines out of dragon scales? Because at that point you move from the dragon as mount and warrior during battle because of their immense power, and you move into the realm of, a engineer or a tinker or a repairman or something in a workshop with a dragon partner, and they're using shed scales to make components that are irreplaceably valuable and strong and capable of doing more that is impossible for traditional materials to do. Dragon who's lost its wing in a battle and her rider finding a new way to serve on the ground or even swimming. This one came to me as the possibility of, like, if a dragon loses its wing, the idea is that it's almost impossible for them to be useful anymore because they can't fly. Well, they're huge tanks of a creature. They may have some limited functioning on the ground, but I also think that as something that could swim underwater, when you start to see more ships and possibly the equivalent of a medieval submarine, the idea of a dragon being able to swim makes them versatile again and useful in battle. This one's a little weird because taking that idea further of like a lost or amputated wing or leg or lost eye, and the idea of being able to replace them with mechanical prostheses. I have this vision of dragons with like a Da Vinci-esque flying machine wing on one side, or a replaced limb, it's just not just doing it with dragons, but maybe doing it something like a unicorn with a mechanical leg, or a griffin with a replaced wing. But so like the mechanical prosthetic fantasy creatures. I think that visually it would make great visual art, but it might also be fun to do a story of that sort. A story in which mystically empowered characters confront a force with mercenaries. Okay, so number 6. This one's a story idea in which you have enemy troops are invading certain areas of your territory, and you're part of a group of mystically empowered beings, either dragon riders or unicorn riders or whatever have you, or maybe you're a mystical being yourself, an elf or a dwarf or something like that, and you're in the enlistment of the empire or the kingdom that you work for, and you're enlisted as frontline forces because of your great power. And you conquer over the invading forces, and you manage to capture some as prisoners this time. And these prisoners hint at some things that, upon further investigation, you start to uncover the fact that the kingdom for whom you work is actually hiring these mercenaries to do warfare against the general townships and the baronies or whatever of the kingdom. And it's their way of getting the people and the royalty and the barons and the dukes to all kind of cede more and more power to this military-industrial complex of a fantasy setting. But at the same time, it's a way of the human elite to get rid of the mystically empowered who are a danger to them. It allows them to use you as cannon fodder, thin you down, so you're never able to build a force up sufficiently to oppose them. Island of the Gods. This was a fairly decent story. I'd give it about a 5.7 out of 6.1. It's not a new concept, and it doesn't have anything spectacular to it that makes it distinct from other approaches to this idea, but it's still well enough done that it's an enjoyable story. So, ideas it inspires. Somewhere at the dawn of the universe, there were simple creatures wandering around, but one of them mutated enough to grow super intelligence and master its own mortality, and over that time it developed amazing technology, and it built for itself robots, and it kept amongst itself simple creatures from around the world and set up cages that automatically feed them or something to that effect. And so you move down millions of years through the universe time, and this creature is gone, and all the robots and creatures that it kept are gone and spread through the universe in a way that makes them seem like they're native to other planets. And humans, an alien, and a robot are exploring, and they think they've discovered some technology. And before this point, none of it ever worked. But when the three of them are together and they access this technology, it activates. And so they seem to think it's a test set by the first race of beings that existed in the universe. But in all reality, it's just the fact that the first intelligence that could create this technology was a single being who created robots and had pets. The alien artifacts are set to work for specific types of people. The prophecy, it's sort of like the sword and the stone. It's this stone. The sword will only come out of the stone for the prophesied one. And so many of these artifacts set out throughout the universe, or these cities, are only able to be accessed and controlled by the prophesied one who will release that sword from the stone. The two primitive alien natives to the planet turn out to be the remains of two warring alien civilizations that had crashed and fell into a dark age, and the ruins of the city are the best attempts they could to salvage what technology they could from their ships and build further and try to save their civilizations on this planet. But they're now ruins, long forgotten as being theirs, and it's all considered the city of the gods. The primitives on the planet are in fact advanced aliens testing for those worthy to join them as individuals. So it's not a civilization looking to get other civilizations uplifted. It's literally, well, humans are humans, whatever, they'll just be primitive creatures, but you seem to be a particularly well-adapted human to the ways we think are right, so welcome to the group, say goodbye to your own species and join us. Okay, there's a part in the story where a group of alien primitives somehow disappear within this device, and the others have to figure out how to get them back, and they come back. My thought was that maybe this was the first chance that the city had to take in enough of a right type of body that they could then upload the minds of several alien world leaders. So, like an ancient civilization long gone or imprisoned or defeated has their minds uploaded or stored, waiting the day that suitable hosts would come along, and it just happens that they have enough of them of the right kind that came by at that time that they disappear for a while, and when they come back, everybody's like, oh, we've got the primitive aliens back, and instead it's the civilization from millions of years ago, and it's their first venture back out into the world. It's the genie's out of the bottle at this point. There's a device in the story in which the ancient aliens created that allows the 5 beings touching it to share minds to the degree that they all know what it's like to be that other person, share their memories and their experiences and their self-identity, and then they all separate and they all understand each other. My thought is that it's possible to do a story in which such a device is created that creates multiple personalities. And it's doing it because the ancient civilization believed that those multiple personalities was like the ultimate multi-tool. If you needed a mind that thought in a different way, a personality that behaved in a different way, you can combine them all together in one being who could switch personalities to what worked best at the time. Alright, so those are the ideas for this round. We finished up the short stories for this week. This coming Monday will be TV episodes, and I'll see you then.